All right, Capricorns, welcome to your weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is going to be for January 4th through the 10th of 2016. My name is Athen, and this is for Sidereal Astrology. If you are new to this type of astrology, do check the description down below because the signs are different. All right, Capricorns, a lot going on this week, a lot of transformative energy, but it's a mixed bag as it usually is with a lot of astrological events going on. We've got a lot of aspects, as you can see here in the transit graph. We've got Mercury going retrograde here on Tuesday, Jupiter going retrograde here Thursday and Friday. So a lot of this shifting of direction now, and also a new moon with new beginnings here on Saturday. So this is specifically, a lot of this anyways, is involving your 12th house of that alone time of spirituality, behind the scenes activities. Perhaps there's been a lot more focus here and a lot more easygoingness maybe in regards to that, where you can have maybe more of that rest in regards to what you're normally involved with. And that's been a very transformative area for you with Pluto here, who is going to be activated this week. But Mercury is slowing down and is going to go retrograde in your 12th. So from Tuesday onward, and really this early part of the week, it's just this sort of pause in regards to reflecting on how you can have more of that alone time, more of that meditative time, go within, reflect, connect to God, connect to the universe, and rehash and maybe redo some of the things that maybe you've built over the years in regards to spirituality. I think it's great to be open to change here, especially with the sun and this new moon very close to Pluto. So that's the early part in terms of a sort of pause and reflection there. Now every time Mercury goes retrograde, it involves your 6th house of routine and 9th house of your worldview. So be open to changing your outlook on life, be open to changing the daily spheres, and rehash, redo, rework, as it always is the case with Mercury retrograde. Now, Mercury has been squaring up to Mars and will be this early part of the week as well. So with the Mars in your 9th house, I think maybe there's been a lot of motivation and drive to maybe learn wisdom, share wisdom, open your horizons, whether it's literally, spiritually, philosophically. And so it's important to take all that stuff nice and slow, nice and grounded. It's a lot of motivation to really attain what's possible in life, and that's great. But with the square, it is emphasizing the importance of patience with that, and specifically involving those areas of routine, working hard on that, and patient with your worldview, as well as with anything behind the scenes, spiritual, and getting that alone time. So this early part of the week, Tuesday, also has Venus squaring up to Neptune. So with this one, there's usually a dreamy kind of energy, and it can be very nice, very romantic on the maybe relationship level. It could also be kind of dreamy and we can let our minds escape. But with the square, it's usually important to keep it nice and grounded, okay, with the square. And this might be ideals and maybe dreams about the financial material stuff this week. Maybe for some of you, it's requiring that faith and trust that everything is unfolding with divine timing of that 2nd house. And this is really in regards to, I think, lately enjoying more of these ideals and really enjoying maybe actively pursuing them with Venus in that 11th, getting closer to Saturn. Because in the big picture, it is a time for you to really get serious about your ideals, those dreams, your visions, as well as anything group or organizational related, maybe even networking, things like that. And so it's a good time to build that for the next couple of years. But now in the short term, you can really enjoy building that. So staying grounded and constructive with that. If you do feel any type of dreaminess, you can really actualize these dreams. You can actualize these ideals in a very grounded way this early part of the week. That's the best way to work with the square energy, especially when Saturn's involved like this. So as the week unfolds around the middle part, the sun goes over Pluto, squares up to Uranus, preparing for that new moon. So being open to change all week, again, specifically with spirituality, with getting that alone time, that spiritual time out. I think that's just naturally going to shift and change for you. Maybe listening to your dream space, doing active spiritual things perhaps with the sun there. And the sun does normally rule your 8th house. So I think there's a lot of deep things changing, a lot of old energies being released and cleared and healed this week in many regards. Specifically with old unconscious belief systems or subconscious patterning that Pluto's been stripping away in that 12th house. So being open to change and also grounding and staying very centered with any type of communications. Uranus in your 3rd house has really been helping you break free, make changes with how you communicate, have more freedom in your communications. And it's a good time to work with that and integrate that into how you can have more of that pause and that reflection, both in the communicative sphere, but also just in general in your life. And there can be a tremendous spiritual freedom in that regards. And that's been an ongoing theme for the past 3 or 4 years with Uranus squaring up to Pluto, but now it's really getting activated with the sun and this new moon. So that's the middle week. And then Thursday, Friday, Jupiter goes retrograde. So things pausing and now being reflected in terms of the deeper, more meaningful aspects of life. Jupiter's been transiting your 8th for about the past 6 months or so. So it's been a time of learning a lot about yourself on a deeper level, perhaps. Maybe easier transformation, easier healing. And now it's about going within, reflecting on that. Where can you do more of that internal healing, internal transformation? Really reevaluate what's really meaningful to you in life. How can you have healthy bonds? How can you step into your power when appropriate and when it's just and right? So Pluto is also your 12th house, which is a lot of what's already shifting for you. So I feel like this week a lot of things are just now going to be reshifting with your connection to the universe, with God, with that alone time, that presence, and peace. Having more peace in your life, asking yourself how you can have more of that relaxation and peace. Now, in regards to your communications for the next roughly 5 months with this, there's this reflection on communication, on how you learn, how you teach, how you communicate, that synergy of life, which is always the case when Jupiter goes retrograde, because he rules both your 12th and your 3rd house with that. Now, as we approach that new moon some more, the sun does sextile up to Chiron, so there is more healing energy, specifically involving the deeper energies of life. Again, it could be a very healing week for a lot of you. Venus conjoins up to Saturn Friday and Saturday. So with your ruler, you guys could be feeling good, looking good by the end of the week. Saturn, your ruler, with a Venus transit over it. Could be some enjoyments. But again, Venus isn't very easily aspected this week. So it's important to stay very grounded with anything you're involved with your self-expression, with your career even the financial material stuff, maybe relationships. But in either case, you guys should be feeling quite good. At least feeling like you're looking good. You got more of maybe that physical energy and maybe enjoying more of those simple pleasures of life. Now, the new moon is going to be the end of the week, and that's going to be in regards to that 12th house. There's a lot of new beginnings now with you spiritually and understanding, not consciously necessarily, but intuitively about who you are on that deeper level and how you can have more of that peace and presence in your life. And it's all about being open to change here, being open to change with any old belief systems or just old patterns in your life, and reflecting on that with Mercury retrograde as well. Listening to the dream space, rehashing, reworking your intuition, things like that. Now, one thing I want to say too, going into the rest of this year, Jupiter is going to be very close to the North Node. In fact, they'll be very close at the end of this week also. So there's a lot of things that have been expanding with the deeper avenues of life and your bonds, right? And that's going to be very expansive. And I think there's a lot of things opening this early part of the year with that. But the North Node's going into your 8th house for the next 2 years. So there's a lot of life path energy, a lot of support for you to get open, vulnerable, deep, both with, primarily with yourself, but it naturally does translate through the other areas of your life as well. All right, Capricorn, so have a great week. If you guys have any questions, please let me know, and I'll see you guys all next time.